Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Hello and welcome back to Fireteam Base. Joining me as always is Reap. And Reap, we got a special surprise for our viewers today, man. We are going to be reviewing Pubg, that's Player Unknowns Battleground. So, we've logged some hours into this game. We've played quite a few rounds, have kind of gotten snubbed a little bit, haven't quite gotten that winner chicken dinner, but we've come close on several occasions. What are your first initial thoughts on the game, bud?
Say is this game is just fun. It's fun to play. It's fun to watch. It's what a game should be when you pick it up. I mean, I was a little skeptical at first just because there were such high expectations for it, but I think it came out pretty good. Wouldn't you say?
Fun indeed, man. Fun indeed. You know, um, the the game's got a really big replay value for me right now. I mean, I know I say that, and I've only played, a good 12 to 15 rounds, but I'm eager, and I'm eager to see what they're going to be coming out with here with these new patches and updates. I feel like every other day they've been adding one, so the game's just going to keep improving and improving. And technically, it's still a preview edition, right? It's not even
Yep.
the actual game, so they're still working on it. So
Yep, not the full release, and supposedly they've got another couple maps in the works that haven't released yet on PC or Xbox. But it will be interesting to see, as the game goes forward, how much better it can improve. Because right now, even though it is a fun game, I got to say I do have a few gripes with how the graphics work and just how it affects some of the gameplay and everything.
yeah, well, that brings us to our first true topic here. How do you feel about the graphics so far, just in general overall?
I don't think they're great, but when you look at the size of the map and everything and the detail they put into it, I think you can forgive the lack of fidelity and everything with the graphics. But the one thing I will say about it is there are times, especially before the first patch, I've noticed it's gotten a little bit better, but there are times where the graphics wouldn't load on the horizon because it's too far away from your character. And a lot of times you could be seen by other players and not see them yourself, which is a pretty big issue for me. I don't have a problem with graphics until they start to affect the gameplay. And these, I think it still sort of affects the gameplay.
Yeah, no, I agree there, man. Definitely. I can't wait for them to help the refresh rate out. And there have been a couple of times where I thought a bush was like a person, because from a distance it looks like it, and then when you come up to it, you're just like, oh wait, nope, never mind. I just wasted all that time creeping up on it for no reason. But all right, moving on to our next subject. How do you feel about the guns and all the knickknacks in the game as opposed to others?
The one thing I will say is I think the biggest advantage this game has over PUBG or over Fortnite, I'm sorry, is that it uses realistic weapons and attachments and everything for them. It uses vehicles and everything, and I just like the sense of realism that's with it. That you have to find a certain gun, you have to find the ammo that goes with it. Different attachments work for different guns and everything. I like the way it feels and I like the way it looks. It's got
Mm-hmm.
that modern combat that you don't see a ton of games going at in this year, with a lot of games going back to the past and to the future and everything.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. I do like all the guns and the weapons. They're pretty interesting, also, like, we were playing last round, and I'm finding new guns, man. I mean, I'm not even close to coming up with all the or finding all the guns that are actually in this game. I wish they kind of had a full list. I'm sure they might, but that's another thing. That's this kind of leads me to one of the negatives about this game, and that's the aiming, man. I feel like it's not there quite yet, just in general. The hit boxes need to improve a lot more. I feel like, especially with the shotguns, you're basically all over the place. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it definitely is a challenge, and it's one of those things where it's partially because it's so different from everything else. Where you press the left trigger once and it aims it down sight in third person, and then you have to hit it twice and hold the aim down sights in first person. It can be a little wild at times, and sometimes like you don't mean to, aim twice or whatever. But I would say that the aim is one of the biggest negatives for this too. It's not very precise, and there's a lot of times I've noticed that I feel like I've killed somebody when I shoot them 5, 6, 7 times, and then they turn around and score 1 or 2 hits against me, and then I'm the one who winds up going down. It's just interesting. I'm sure everyone has those kind of complaints with every game, but I really felt like that happened to me more in this game than it does in some other games like Rainbow Six or Call of Duty.
Yeah, yeah, I see that. I definitely see or have seen that in the game. Let's move on to another topic. How about the map? What do you think about the maps, like terrain and like the different sections? You know, there's like a school, military base, shooting range, cities, abandoned. It's just I personally think that it's a great little plethora of different terrains and different obstacles and houses and all that stuff. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's big enough that the vehicles come into play too, and there's just a lot of variety. If you want to be in the city, you can. If you want to go out in the wilderness, you can. There's swamps, marshes, there's hills, there's plains. It's just interesting. There's even some bridges and everything like that that really, you have to kind of adapt your combat to where you are on the map, as opposed to a lot of games that are pretty uniform. Like Call of Duty takes place within what, 1 square foot of everything. So when you've got that size map, you know, it comes down to you have to decide what kind of weapons you want to take too. Scopes and everything are pretty huge when you're talking about a map that size. When you find one, you're kind of like, oh yes, I'm actually ready to go and everything.
Yeah, yeah, no, man, I totally agree with that, and it actually brings me to our next point, which is gonna be a topic for another day. But we will also be doing a PUBG, that's Player Unknown Battleground versus Fortnite review in the near future. So make sure you guys check us out on Twitch. Also, we'll be having some gameplay on both and kind of comparing and contrasting because when we first started playing this game, I thought Fortnite had it still beat, but now getting into it a little more, kind of exploring more, and these couple updates that are helping it run a little smoother. It's kind of got me leaning the other way. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that because I'm sure we'll have some pretty interesting takes on there. So one thing that this game does have that Fortnite doesn't are vehicles, though. So take us away on that one, Reeps. What's your favorite vehicle, and what do you think of the choices that we have?
I think I like the motorcycles. It's just fun riding around in one of those, especially when people are shooting at you and everything. Getting into gunfights in the back or in the side of a motorcycle is it's pretty exciting. I like them, but I feel like all of them are good and they're very balanced. You don't feel that just because you're in a car, you're safe, especially because they're as loud as they are. It pretty much is an advertisement to everyone around you that you're pulling up on a certain area. So it's good. It's very balanced the way they have it. You're a little bit safer, but you give up your stealth, and I like it. With the size of the map, you absolutely need it because without them, you wouldn't be able to play. You drop on the wrong side of the map, and it's pretty much game over for you.
Agreed. And yeah, man, no, I love the boats. The only thing this game is missing are airplanes or helicopters, but then at that point it becomes kind of like GTA. So I think that's perfect where it's at right now with the in-game vehicles. Obviously, each vehicle usually has like a half a tank of gas, and you have to find gas to fill it up, which brings a little more realism into it. So yeah, that's definitely that. If you had to rate this game, man, people are waiting for this one, the Fireteam Base official rating. What do you rate this at?
I'm gonna give this a 7. It's really fun to play. I like the realism. I like the vehicles and everything, but there are still a lot of game-breaking bugs with the load times and the way everything loads in when you land on the ground for the first time, and it just affects gameplay. And to me, you can't have that. I would put it just a little bit behind Fortnite because it doesn't have the smoothness, but hopefully they can work that out in the coming weeks and months when they update it. So, like you said, it's just the pre-release. I'm looking forward when they actually release the full thing.
Yep. I'm gonna give it a 7.7, so we're kind of on the same track there. Just it's a fun game. I can't wait for the full actual version. I don't know exactly how many more gigs it's gonna be. The updates have already added 8.8 gigs to the original game, so I'm not really looking forward to that part. But it is a huge map. I understand why they need all that space, and if they keep pumping out good graphic updates and all that stuff, then so be it, man. It's worth it. It's a fun game. It's very satisfying to win. I mean, even when we've come in second and third place, I've still had like a really good, like gratifying feeling, as opposed to obviously coming in like 30th, or even, the first game we played, we came in 12th, and that, it's a really gratifying feeling, and I like games like that. You know what I mean?
Very high tension. I like it, especially when you get to the end and there's three of you left, and you're sitting there thinking about, do I rush one of them? Do I sit back? What do I do? And the zone keeps closing in around you. It's the good kind of pressure. So
Yeah, do I throw a smoke grenade? Do I pop the painkillers or energy drink to give me that extra boost? Yeah, man, there is a lot of stuff to think about, and they did a pretty good job condensing that big keyboard worth of buttons onto just the controller. So yeah, if you're just starting out, make sure you kind of read the controls list, because there are a ton of controls. I'm still finding new stuff out. The game's been out for almost 2 weeks, and every day I'm still finding new little combos of buttons you have to hold to get the stuff. So, yeah, man. I mean, unless you got anything else, I think we're pretty much set here.
no, it's a good game to pick up for $30, which is half of what a normal AAA game would go for at the store. So I would scoop it for $30 if you like shooters and you like hardcore style FPS. Then this is definitely a game you should check out.
Oh yeah, and one quick note. I mean, a lot of people are going to be getting this game for the holidays, and what advice would you give, the beginners, the PUBG beginners?
Try to focus when you drop into the game on creating space between yourself and other players. I feel like if you're new to the game and you drop in with a lot of people, you're going to be spending a lot of time on the sideline with your game ending really quick. So what I would say is try when you drop out at the very beginning to just put space between you and the other players, and that'll give you time to round up your gear and really get a feel for everything. And then, kind of make your way into the game towards the second part when the circle starts to close in and everything.
Yeah, basically what Reeps is trying to say, land in little clusters of houses that don't have a big name next to them. And that's actually been working out to our advantage. So I would definitely recommend the same. So yeah, guys, that does it for our review on PUBG. It's a great game. It's a great pickup. And look for our Fortnite versus PUBG review in the coming weeks. And also, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button to stay up to date with all of our future tech unboxings, game reviews, and more.
And let us know down in the comments how far you've made it in a game of PUBG, or if you'll be picking it up this Christmas season.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's to all y'all, man. Peace out.
Keep briefing, guys.